Mathematics A, practice paper 5F foundation unit for the International GCSE, and Miss Hayden Higgins Solutions. Now, again, if you're confused by any of the methods used, please go to my YouTube channel and make sure you watch the in-depth explanations of different methods. Here you have a formula page. We have the area of a trapezium, the volume of a prism, and the volume of a cylinder, as well as the curved surface area of the cylinder. We may need those during the past paper. Question 1. Jan recorded the number of steps she took each day last week. This information is shown on a table. On which day did she take the least number of steps? So we're looking for the smallest number. Now, automatically, I see the 4,000's the smallest. 4,695 is the smallest, which is on Friday. So write the number 12,038 in words. So 12,000 and 38. Round the number 4,853 correct to the nearest hundred. So to the nearest hundred is 800. I look at the tens column and it's 5 or more, so I need to round that up, so I get 4,900. It says 2 of the numbers in the table are multiples of 5. Write these two down. Now, if you have a multiple of 5, the number will end in a 5 or a 0. So if we have a look, we have 9,780 ends in a 0, and 4,695. Jan takes 1,200 steps to walk 1 kilometre. Use this information to work out how many kilometres Jan walked on Thursday. On Thursday, Jan walked 15,243. So if we divide that by 1,200 to find out exactly how many kilometres, so 1,243 divided by 1,200, 15,000, we're going to get 12.7 to the nearest kilometre, that's 13. Work out the mean number of steps per day Jan took last week. So we need to add up all of her steps and divide them by how many days she did this for. So over the period of 7 days, so we know that we've got to add them up and divide it by 7. I've just taken this from the next page so that we can see. So if we add them all up, find the total, and then we're going to divide it by 7 because there's a total of 7 days. So I'm going to have 9,780 plus 4,853 plus 12,038 plus 15,243 plus 4,695 plus 4,801 plus 11,856. I get a total of 63,266. 63,266. If I divide that by 7, I get 9,038. So her mean steps, 9,038. That's really good because really we should be averaging 10,000 a day. So that's amazing. Question 2. L and M are points on a circle centre 0. Write down the mathematical name for the straight line OM. This is a radius. Write down the mathematical name for the straight line LM. This is a chord. On the diagram, shade a segment. Now, when I think of a segment, I always think of an orange slice, and this part looks like an orange slice. So this is our segment. Question 3. The bar chart shows information about the population of each of the 5 countries in 2013. Write down the population of Sri Lanka. So if I go to Sri Lanka and I go across 20 million, write down the population of the UAE. So the UAE, I go across, I think it's about 9 million, because it's in between 5 and 10, but it's closer to 10. So roughly 9. Which country had a population of 41 million? So if I look at 40, I'm going to go just above. Have a look. There we go. Argentina. Argentina. So in 2013, the population of Singapore was a fifth of the population of Sri Lanka. Is Suki correct? Well, we know that Sri Lanka is 40. So Sri Lanka equals 40. A fifth of 40 is 8. Okay, so a fifth of 40 is 8. And Singapore, Singapore has a population of 5. So Suki is incorrect. Suki is incorrect, as a fifth would be 8 million. Okay, in 2013, the population of Saudi Arabia was 29 million. Draw on the bar chart. Now, we've got to make sure that we use a ruler. And we have 29 million, so we're going to have a look where that goes. So it's just below 30. Perfect. Draw a nice straight line. Oh, that was a terrible straight line. Let me get the ruler out again. There we go. Nice and simple. Part F. In 2013, the ratio of the population of India to the UK was 1,252 to 64. Write the ratio in its simplest form. So 1,252 and 64. Now, there is a trick you could do. You could put 64 over 1,252 into your calculator. So 64 divided by 1,252, and we get 16 over 313. So 313 to 16 is our simplest. Now, the other way we could do this is we have 1,252 and 64. We could divide both sides by 2 to get 626 and 32, and then divide by 2 again because they're both even numbers. We're going to get 313 and 16. Now 313 and 16, we can't divide by 2 again because 313 is not even. Can't divide by 3 because we know that 16 doesn't divide by 3. And the only other factors of 16 are even numbers, which 313 isn't, so we know it's in its simplest form. The table shows information about average temperatures for the 5 months in Beijing. Which of these months has the lowest temperature? So the lowest is the coldest, which is -4, so January. Work out the difference between the average temperature in October and the average temperature in December. So October has 13, so the difference, I'm going to take away the average temperature in December, which is -2. 13 minus -2, we're working out the difference. There's actually 15 degrees difference. If you think about a thermometer, if we had 13 here, we'd have 0, then we have -2. Well, between 0 and 13 is 13, and between 0 and -2 is 2. So the difference between 13 and -2 is 15. The average temperature in June is 28 degrees higher than in January. Work out the average temperature in June. So if we have January's -4, we're going to add 28 degrees because it's 28 higher, which is going to give us 24 degrees. -4 plus 28 is the same as saying 28 minus 4. Question 5. Here are 8 cards. Each card has a letter on it. Malik takes a random one of these cards. Write down the probability. Write down the word from the box which best describes the likelihood. So a card with a letter B. Well, there's one B out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 1 out of 8. That's actually quite unlikely, isn't it? Unlikely. A card with a letter D. Well, there is no letter Ds. That's 0 out of 8 chances, which is impossible. can't take something that isn't there. Find the probability that Malik takes a card with an A on it. Well, there's 3 A's out of a total of 8 cards. Sunil has 2 sets of cards, set 1 and set 2. Each card has a letter on it. Sunil takes 1 card from set 1. He then takes 1 card from set 2. List all the possible combinations. Well, let's just start systematically. He takes card E from set 1. He could take W from set 2. Or if he takes card E from set 1, he could take X from set 2. There's no other possible ways now with E, so I'm going to move on. If he takes an F from 1, he could take a W from 2. If he takes an F from set 1, he could take an X from set 2. There's no other ways now. And then the same with G, he could take a W, and if he picked G again, he could take an X. So there are a possible of 6 combinations. Question 6. Simplify P plus P plus P plus P minus P. So 1, 2, 3, 4 P's minus 1 P is 3P. Simplify 6 times E times 5 times F. I could rewrite that as 6 times 5 times E times F. 6 times 5 is 30 EF, because there's no need to write the multiplication symbols. Solve 8m equals 40. Well, to find 1m, I need to divide both sides by 8. So m equals 5. Solve 20 minus k equals 16. So I'm going to minus 20 from both sides. So minus k equals 16 minus 20, which is minus 4. I now don't want a negative k, so if I divide both sides by minus 1, I get k equals minus 4 divided by minus 1, positive 4. Sometimes, you know, if you have exactly one expression on each side and they're both negative, you can cancel them. And we're cancelling them because we're dividing by minus 1. So it says A equals 3c plus f. Work out the value of c when a equals 23 and f equals 5. Well, step 1, when we substitute, we always use brackets. So a is 23, so I've got 23 equals 3 lots of c, we don't know, plus 5. So I'm going to get 23 equals 3c plus 5. I'm going to take away 5 from both sides. 23 take away 17. 3c plus 5 minus 5 is 0. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Sorry, it's not 17, is it? 18. Divide both sides by 3 to cancel the 3, so I get just 1c. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. So c equals 6. Question 7. Work out 2/9 of 738. So we're just going to multiply. So 2 over 9 times 738 is 164. Now the other way you could do this is you could do 738. We could divide it by 9 first to find out one part and then multiply it by 2 to get 2 parts, which is going to be 2/9. So there are 24 horses in a field. 17 of the horses are brown. What fraction of the horses in the field are not brown? Well, 24 minus 17 is 7. So that's 7 out of 24, which are not brown. Part C, show that 10 over 21 minus 1 over 3 equals 1 over 7. Well, we know step 1, do they have the same denominator? Because when we're adding or taking away, we need to make sure they have a common denominator. They do not. So we're going to look for a common denominator. Now, 3 is in the 21 times table. Sorry, let me say that again. 21 is in the 3 times table. So I can actually just convert a third and make it equivalent to over 21. So 3 times 7 is 21. Whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So 1 times 7 is 7. So 10 over 21 minus 7 over, I've said 21, I've written 20. It's okay. 10 over 21 minus 7 over 21 is 3 over 21. Now 3 over 21 I can cancel down. They're both in the 3 times table, so if I divide the numerator and denominator both by 3, I get 1 over 7. So equals 1 over 7. And there you go, you've shown that 10 over 21 minus a third equals 1/7. Question 8. ABC is a straight line. ABDE is a quadrilateral. Work out the value of x. Well, if it's a straight line, I know angles on a straight line add to 180. So angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 76 equals 104 degrees. So my answer for x is 100. Oh, what is going on today? 104 degrees. Okay, part B, work out the value of y. Now we have a quadrilateral. We have y, we have y, we have 130, and we have 76. Now, angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So we know 130 plus y plus 76 equals 360. So 130 plus 76 is 206 plus 2y equals 360. If I minus 206 from both sides, I get 2y equals 154. I need to now divide by 2. So 75, 76, y equals 77. Okay, again, you can always double check on your calculator as this is a calculator paper. Part C. Each exterior angle of a regular polygon is 18 degrees. Work out the number of sides of this polygon. We know exterior angles add to 360. So 360 divided by the number of sides is going to give us 18. So we need to rearrange now to find what n is. So I'm going to multiply both sides by n. That's going to cancel this side. So we're going to get 360 equals 18n. But I want an n on its own. So if I divide both sides by 18, 360 divided by 18 equals n. So 360 divided by 18 is 20. So n equals 20. So there are 20 sides of the polygon. Question 9. Here is a list of ingredients for making 24 Rocky Road crunchy bars. Whew, I would love one of those right now. Sylvester wants to make 30 Rocky Road crunchy bars. Work out the amount of marshmallow he needs. Well, if we have the ingredients for 24 and we want to make 30, how do we get from 24 to 30 by multiplying? Okay, this is like going back to scale factors, proportion. What we need to do is 30 divided by 24 is we're going to find out how many times 24 goes into 30, which is 1.25. So my scale factor is 1.25. So what I'm going to do is marshmallows is 100 grams times 1.25 is 125 grams. Now, the other way you could do this is if you know if 100 grams makes 24 cakes, find out what one crunchy bar by dividing both sides by 24. And then you'd be able to find one crunchy bar. And because then you need 30, you could then multiply it by 30. So this is the unitary method. And we're going to get the same. So 100 divided by 24 is 25 over 6. Now, it does give you a decimal, but the decimal is reoccurring, so I do not suggest you use that, because then when you multiply it by 30, you're going to get an exact number, whereas if you use the decimal, you wouldn't. So you can do it either way. Or, again, if you know what 24 bars is, you could divide 24 by 4, because that would give you 6 bars. And then you could add on how much the 6 bars would be to the 24 to find the answer. Nigella makes some Rocky Road crunchy bars. She uses 850 grams of chocolate. Work out the number of Rocky Road crunchy bars she can make. So chocolate, if you had 300 grams of chocolate, you can make 24. So let's just do 850 divided by 300 to see how many lots of 24 we can make. So 850 divided by 300 is 17 over 6, or 2.83. Okay, let's break it down a bit more then. So we know we're not going to go for that method. We're going to try another method. So I want to work out 100 grams. No, 50 grams is what I want, because I know that 50 goes into 850 nicely. So I need to divide this side by 6, and then I need to divide this side by 6. So I get 4. So 4 bars, okay, is 300 lots of chocolate. So now I want to get to 850. So how many 50s go into 850? 17. So if I multiply by 17, and if I multiply 4 by 17, I can make a total of 68 crunchy bars. Now again, there's a few different ways you could do this question, and it's entirely up to you. The first way, I didn't really like, because it didn't give me a very nice number. It gave me a fraction, and it was quite hard to actually demonstrate. So it's completely up to you. Question 10. In a sale, normal prices are reduced by 35%. The normal price of a bed is 1,200. Work out the sale price. Well, if we have 100% and we take away 35%, we're left with 65%, because that makes 100. So we want to find 65% of the number. 65% as a decimal is 0.65. So 1,200 times 0.65 equals 1,200 times 0.65 is $780. Question 11. The diagram shows a rectangle and a circle. The rectangle has a length of 30 and a width of 20. The circle has a radius of 8. Work out the area of the shaded region. So I always like to draw these out. I need to find the area of the rectangle, and I need to minus the area of the circle. Now, the area of a rectangle is base times height. The area of a circle is pi r squared. So base times height we have, so 30 times 20, that's my rectangle, which is 600. And then I'm going to minus pi times my radius, which they've already told us, r squared. So I'm going to minus 64 pi. Now it wants correct 3 significant figures, so 600 minus 64 pi is 398.93. So I want 3 significant figures, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm rounding to the nearest whole number. This number here is 5 or more, so I'm going to round that up. So I'm going to get 399 centimeters squared. Question 12. On the grid, draw the graph of y plus 2x equals 6. Now, typically, I like to draw the graph y equals mx plus c, because I know then that this is my gradient, and this is my y-intercept. So what I'm going to do is rearrange this. I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. So y equals 6 minus 2x. Now again, there's a few different ways you could draw this graph. You could draw a table, have your x values from -2 all the way up to 4, and work out your y. I have done that in a previous video. And again, with my individual topic videos, there are multiple ways. What we're going to do is we're going to actually focus on the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the number on its own, which is 6. So it means it crosses at 6. My gradient, so this is my coordinate 0, 6. My gradient is always the coefficient in front of the x. And my gradient equals 2. And this means for every one along, because it's a negative 2, it means I go minus 2 down. So if I go from 6, I go 1 along, minus 2 down. Here's my new point. 1 along, minus 2 down. 1 along, minus 2 down. 1 along, minus 2 down. And I keep going. And if I'm going the other way, I'm going to go 1. If I go 1 to the left, and I'm going to go up 2. So you can see I have a nice straight line. Okay, here we go. So now I'm going to get my ruler. And then I'm going to draw my straight line. Perfect. So the other way we can do this is sometimes when it's not in the form y equals mx plus c and we have our x and our y on one side. I have y plus 2x equals 6. I can let y equal 0. So if y equals 0, I get 2x equals 6. So my x is equal to 3. And I can let x equal 0. And then I get y equals 6. And I have two coordinates then. I have 3, 0 and 0, 6. And I only need 2 points to draw a straight line, which you can see 0, 6, 3, 0. And then you just continue the straight line from there. Question 13. The area of a floor of a room is 12 meters squared. Change 12 meters squared into centimeters squared. Well, if I was to go from meters to centimeters, I'd multiply by 100. If I'm going from meters squared to centimeters squared, I need to multiply by 100 squared. So 12 times 100 squared is 120,000 centimeters squared. Simplify w to the 5 times w to the 8 over w to the 4. Now, on the numerator, when we multiply of the same base, we add the indices. So 5 plus 8 is 13, w to the 4. And if we have the same base when we're dividing, we take away 13 take away 4 is 9. So we get w to the power of 9. Part B, write down the inequality shown on the number line. Now, if the circle is coloured in, it means we're including this number. So our inequality is going to have including, which is 3. Here it's not filled in, so we're not including 9. So 3 is less than or equal to x, but it's less than 9. Question 15. On the grid above, translate shape S by 1 square to the left and 3 squares down. So if I pick a point, if I go left 1 square and 3 down, 1, 2, 3, I end up here. Now I'm just going to rub out my working. So 1 left, 3 down. This point is now where that shape is on S. I need to draw the shape exactly. So if I look on S, now I go 2 to the right. So from my new point, I'm going to go 2 to the right. I then go 3 up. So from my point, I'm going to go 3 up. From my point, I go 1 up here. So I go 1 up here, and then I draw a line joining them. So now I've translated the new shape S. Part B, on the grid, rotate triangle T by 90 degrees clockwise about the point 0, 2. So my point 0, 2 is here. Currently, this is how I get to my point. Now, normally you'd use tracing paper. Unfortunately, I'm using an iPad. I don't have tracing paper. But if we are currently facing this direction in 90 degrees, if we're going clockwise, we now need to go 90 degrees clockwise this way. So this new line here, I'm going to draw now facing downwards. And I'm going to draw exactly as I did. So it was one line down, and then I went across, across, and then this was this point here. So now I need to draw this triangle. So I can see this point is across 2, okay? So I'm going to go across 2, then I go up 3, and then I join it. So you can see if my shape was a triangle and I tipped it over by 90 degrees, it would fall on this side here. Okay, so it would fall over. This is a bit harder to explain without tracing paper, but we could see it would tip. So this would now be the base. Question 16. The table gives information about the weights of 20 rugby players. So we know the total frequency is 20. Write down the modal class. So we want to know the most common. The most common is the one with the highest frequency. The highest frequency is 7, so the modal class is a weight between 100 and 110. It says work out an estimate for the total weight of these 20 rugby players. So to find the total weight, I need to find the midpoint of each interval and then multiply it by the frequency and add them all up. So the midpoint between 80 and 90 is 85, 90 and 100, 95, 100 and 110 is 105, 110 and 120 is 115, and 120 and 130 is 125. So now I'm going to multiply the midpoint, so 85 times our frequency, which is 3, 95 times 5, 105 times 7, 115 times 4, and 125 times 1. I'm going to work them all out. So 85 times 3 is 255, 95 times 5, 475, 105 times 7, 749. Nope, that does not make sense because it should end in a 5 or a 0. 735, 115 times 4, 460, and 125 times 1 is 125. So now I'm going to add them all together. Please always double check when you're using a calculator and use common sense, just like I did then. I realised it shouldn't end in a 9. So I double checked and I'd accidentally put 9 instead of 5. So the total is 2050. Now, sometimes a lot of people automatically see this table and they want to work out the mean. Okay, now we have to be careful. It doesn't say work out an estimate for the mean, it says a work out an estimate for the total weight. Question 17. Here is an isosceles triangle. Work out the area of the triangle. We know to find the area of the triangle, we need to do base times height divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. Now we know our base is 14, but we don't know what our height is. Now because this is an isosceles triangle, if I split it exactly in the middle, so now I have 2 triangles of 7, we have a right-angled triangle. So we have a right-angled triangle with 7 centimetres as the base, 18 centimetres is my hypotenuse. So I'm going to be using Pythagoras. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. My c is my hypotenuse, always opposite the right angle. And my a and my b, it really doesn't matter which way round. So my a, we don't know, plus 7 squared equals 18 squared. Going to rearrange to get a squared, so I'm going to take away 7 squared from both sides. I'm now going to work out a squared equals 18 squared minus 7 squared, which is 275. So a equals the square root of 275, which is 5 root 11. Now I'm going to leave it as a third, 5 root 11. So now we have our height. We can now work out the area of a triangle. So our base is the whole base, which is 7. times our height, which we just worked out, is 5 root 11 divided by 2. So times 7 divided by 2. Our answer is 35 root 11 over 2. Now, if I press SD on my calculator, I get 58.0409. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So my first significant figure is a 5. My second is an 8. So we have tens, units, and then we have tenths. So we want to round it to the nearest tenth. Now this 4, it's not 5 or more, so we do not round up. So to 3 significant figures, it's 58.0. Question 18. The diagram shows a parallelogram ABCD. The angle BAD is 7x minus 20 and angle ADC is 160 minus 3x. Work out the value of x. So because this is a parallelogram, if I was to continue these parallel sides here, these two angles are in fact co-interior. So that means they add up to 180. So 7x minus 20 plus 160 minus 3x equals 180. So 7x minus 20 plus 160 minus 3x equals 180. If I collect like terms, 7x minus 3x is 4x, minus 20 plus 160 is plus 140 equals 180. Now if I take away 140 from both sides, I have 4x equals 40. Divide both sides by 4, x equals 10. So we have 10 degrees. Now again, we could double check that this works. If we were to double check, we'd substitute this back in and it should equal 180. So 7 lots of 10 minus 20 plus 160 minus 3 lots of 10 should equal 180. So I'm going to get 70 minus 20 plus 160 minus 30. 70 minus 20 is 50, plus 160 is 210, minus 30 is 180. So you know you're correct. Question 19. M equals 3 to the power of 4 times 5 to the power of 3. N equals 3 cubed times 5 squared times 11. Find the lowest common multiple of M and N. So I'm going to use a Venn diagram. This is my M and this is my N. Now, my lowest common multiple, if I look at my 3's, the highest common factor of 3 is 3 cubed. So that's a 3 cubed, and I can take that from N. If I take away 3 cubed from M, I'm left with just 3. My next highest common factor is 5 squared. If I take that from N, I'm left with just 5. And then I have 11 left over in N and a 3 and a 5 left over in M. So now I have 3 times 5 times 3 cubed times 5 squared times 11. If I simplify this, I get 3 to the power of 4 times 5 cubed times 11. Because remember, lowest common multiple using a Venn diagram are all of these sections multiplied together. Now I want to find the highest common factor of 5m, so 5 lots of m, and 3 lots of n. So if I know if I have m is 3 to the 4 times 5 cubed, if I have 5 lots, I need to then multiply this by 5. So my 5m is 3 to the power of 4 times 5 to the power of 4. For then 3 lots of n, Well, my n already equals 3 to the power of 3 times 5 squared times 11. So if I have 3 lots of that, I'm going to multiply the right-hand side by 3. So I get 3n equals 3 to the power of 4 times 5 squared times 11. So now I'm going to use the same method as I did before to put it into the Venn diagram. So the highest common factor is 3. These are my two that I'm now looking at. So they have a highest common factor of 3 to the power of 4 in both. So that's going to go here. My highest common factor of 5 is 5 squared. So that now becomes 5 squared. So I'm left with 5 squared and 11. So to find the lowest common highest common factor, I'm going to multiply everything that overlaps the intersection. So I'm going to get 3 to the power of 4 times 5 squared. Here is a straight line L drawn on the grid. Find the equation for the line L. Now we know it crosses the y-intercept at 1. The equation of a straight line is y equals mx plus c. So we know y equals mx plus 1. Now we could do this a few different ways. One way we could do this is we could pick, now we have y equals mx plus 1, we could pick a coordinate. So I could even pick this coordinate 0, 1. But I don't want to because it's not going to give me my x value. So if I pick this coordinate here, I have 1 minus 1. I'm going to substitute in my value. So my y is minus 1 equals m lots of 1 plus 1. So minus 1 equals m plus 1. Rearrange minus 1 from both sides. Minus 2 equals m. So when I get y equals minus 2m plus 1. The other way I could do this is by drawing a triangle. And for every one along, what do I do? So for every one along, I'd actually go down, because if I go one along, I go down minus 2, so my gradient is minus 2. So y equals minus 2x plus 1. Just realised I made a mistake here, sorry, this should be an x. Question 21. The table shows the population correct to 2 significant figures of each of 6 countries in April 2016. Write 9.3 times 10 to the 7 as an ordinary number. So 9.3 and it's times 10 to the 7, so I'm going to move the decimal place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 9, 3, 5, 6. Okay, so 93 million. Which of these countries had the least population? So we're looking for the smallest population. Now times 10 to the 6 is going to give us the smallest. But we have 9.8 or 5.7, and it's 5.7, so it's Singapore. The population of China was 1.382 times 10 to the 9 in April. Population of India was 1.327 times 10 to the 9 in April. Work out the difference between the population of China and the population of India. So I just need to take them away from each other. So 1.382 times 10 to the 9 minus 1.327 times 10 to the 9. Now you can use your calculator. When you're using your calculator, 382 times 10 to the 9 minus 1.327 times 10 to the 9. Make sure you use brackets. So my answer is 55 million. And then we need to put this in standard form. So 5.5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 5.5 times 10 to the power of 7. Question 22. A. solve the simultaneous equations. So first of all, we can see that 7x plus 2y equals 16 and 5x minus 2y equals 20. Now our coefficients of y are the same, so to get rid of the two y's we need to add these two together. 7x plus 5x is 12x. 2y plus minus 2y is 0. And 16 plus 20 is 36. If I divide both sides by 12 to get x on its own, I get x equals 3. Now that I have x equals 3, I can substitute x equals 3 into one of the equations. So if I substitute it into the first equation, 7 lots of 3 plus 2y equals 16. 7 lots of 3 is 21, plus 2y equals 16. I'm going to minus 21 from both sides. Bring that up here. So 21 minus 21 is 0. I'm left with 2y equals 16. Minus 21 is minus 5. Divide both sides by 2 to find out what y is. So y equals minus 5 over 2, which is minus 2.5. Now I can double check if I'm right by putting this into the second equation. 5 lots of 3, because our x is 3, minus 2 lots of minus 2.5 equals 20. Well, 5 lots of 3 is 15, minus 2 times minus 2.5 is plus 5, equals 20. 20 equals 20, so I know I am correct. Part B, expand and simplify. K plus 9, k minus 5. K times k is k squared. 9 times minus 5 is minus 45. 9 times k is 9k. K times minus 5 is minus 5k. Now if I'm going to simplify this, my k squareds, I've just got k squared. My k's, I've got plus 9k minus 5k, which is plus 4k, and then minus 45. So my answer is k squared plus 4k minus 45.